Hello friends, and let's get into quiz number 2 for audio electronics, about schematics and diagrams and that sort of thing, and we're going to get into a bunch of the actual symbols. But first, to start off, a block diagram is a graphic description of signal path through a device. You might have seen these where they have the little lines, which are mostly wires or a printed circuit board that can then go to our resistors and amplifiers and headphones, and you can trace the signal path through whatever device it is that you're looking at a schematic of. Number 2, some manufacturers do not distinguish between earth and circuit ground. We're going to have a different chapter where we talk about ground a whole lot. And there are 2 basic grounds that you care about, whether it's actually going all the way to the ground to the earth, or if it's just some point inside of the device. And there are some manufacturers who don't make a distinction. They just say this is the path that goes to ground. When you're in doubt of a symbol, right, if you don't really remember what a capacitor symbol looks like, you can always just draw a symbol as you're making a schematic and write capacitor inside of it. So when in doubt of a symbol, draw a box and label it. Okay. Traditionally, signal diagrams flow from left to right and from top to bottom. It may not be the actual way that it looks inside of the device. Right, whatever works inside of there works inside of there, but when you're writing it out, generally we're going to look for the start at the top and on the left, and it's going to flow to the right and to the bottom. LFO stands for low frequency oscillators, and you'll see these in synthesizers, but also in schematics to do certain functions depending on what it is that we're looking at the schematic for. Okay, now into the fun part. So the few symbols that I want you to recognize, and we're going to see them a little bit in the guitar while we're making that, in mixing boards if you're looking up through those things. Any schematic should have most of these somewhere in them. So the first one I want to do is a resistor. The symbol for a resistor is kind of a squiggly line, right? So the voltage comes in from one side, and then there's a certain amount of resistance in that squiggly. Well, we're going to go over what resistors actually are. This is just the symbol, right? The little squiggly line is the resistor. Capacitors, there are a few different variations on it, but it's kind of 2 lines, and often they'll have the positive side labeled, so you can make sure the positive side is going to the positive. Okay. Amplifier signals, those are triangles. So if you see a triangle going in one side and out the other, that's an amplifier. And remember, it could just be amplifying a voltage signal, not necessarily an audio signal. Variable resistor. So this is very similar to our resistor from a few questions back. Again, you've got the squiggly line, but then there's an arrow cutting through it, and that is the symbol for variable resistor. It could be a fader. A lot of times it's that. It could be a knob that's going one way or the other. I probably talked about pan pots and those sorts of variable resistors in class. The last one is a switch, and it's kind of a line that's broken, right? That can come up or come down, and that's the way you think about it engaging and completing the circuit or not. So those are some symbols, the basic introduction to block diagrams. Like the kangaroo says, at these prices, I am not surprised.